This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
And before you know it, it's the main event. And boy, is it a long one. 44 minutes, 56 seconds. We've got The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Big Show representing the WWF. Meanwhile, Team Alliance is made up of Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Shane McMahon, Steve Austin, and Kurt Angle. And Team WWF wins in 44-56. Before the match, Vince would give his guys a big pep talk and talk about the legacy of the WWF, including people like Buddy Rogers, Dr. Jerry Graham, Andre the Giant, Gorilla Monsoon, and Peter Maivia. And, well, plenty of time. 4.5 stars when it's all said and done. Austin's going to hit Rock with a stunner, but there's no referee. Angle shows up, hits Austin with a title belt, saving the day for the WWF. And Rock scores the pin with a rock bottom. And 8 months after WCW died, 10 months after ECW died, their names within the WWF were officially taken off of life support and allowed to die with no dignity after a branding manslaughter, Meltzer says.
Wow. Hey, waxing the poetic there.
He is, man. You know, and listen, you've got a lot of talent in here. The Rock's a Hall of Famer. The Undertaker's a Hall of Famer. Kane and Jericho and Big Show, all Hall of Famers. The other side, the same story. RVD, Booker T, Shane McMahon, Austin, Kurt Angle. But it just doesn't feel like the right ingredients and maybe the right time. And they say in business, timing's everything.
Yeah.
What do you think of this one, watching it back for the first time in a long time?
Well, again, the thing that strikes me is that how much talent were involved in the match. And when you're trying to create an environment where everybody can have some level of shine, different increments of time, obviously. I got my 30 seconds. Here's your 30 seconds. It wasn't that way, but everybody needs to have a shine. Everybody, because all those guys you were perceived, I think, maybe I'm being biased, are main event level guys. They're all stars. I like the fact that Vince, because there was some consideration about that, of making an elimination match. And I was all for it. And I was not in the majority. I thought it would be great for guys to lose with somebody else's finish or get weakened by somebody's finish or whatever, but better than just the, simple over the top rope spots. And so having an elimination, and so you got odds like in hockey, a power play goal in hockey or something. You got a team that has one more player than the other. They have an advantage for now. Oh, all of a sudden now we're back to 4 versus 4, whatever it may be. So I was amazed that there was enough continuity in that match for it to make some sense. Again, you got to share some time across the board so everybody gets a little bit of a shine. Those that are losing, especially, and everybody's going to lose with one guy. So how do you manage those spots? And there's where I would say a guy like Patterson came in and really was able to add some order and some continuity and some degrees of logic as well. Pat was very much an innovator in the old San Francisco Battle Royal with Roy Shire, the promoter out there. Pat had done a lot of these things where a Battle Royal was once a year or so, as I understand it, in the Cow Palace. And so Patterson was able to pull it all together with help of others. I'm sure Jerry Briscoe was involved, and it was a team effort, and it had to be a team effort when you got so many egos and so many stars in place at one time. So I thought it was well managed and well structured, but that doesn't take into account, were we ready for this angle? Was the audience prepared for this? Apparently they weren't ready in Greensboro. Look at the attendance. Shivani and I worked our first match together on TBS at Clash 1, and we had a lousy crowd, but I think it might have been bigger than this one. I'm not sure, but something happened along the way in Greensboro that just shot their toes, and that may be one of the reasons that there's not been a significant amount of pay-per-views held subsequently in Greensboro. Great wrestling city. I was at awe when I got in that arena because I'd watched the ACC basketball tournament from that venue for years when Michael Jordan was a pup. as a, he won he was a star of the game as a freshman in the NCAA finals. He had all those great basketball teams from Tar Helia and beyond, but it was very disappointing to walk in there and see all the empty seats.
Yeah.
Because goddamn, Connie, there was a bunch of them.
It really is one of the more debated and discussed angles and matches and payoffs and storylines in history. And apparently there's some folks who aren't thrilled. Do you remember there being any heat on Shane McMahon?
Well, not that anybody would come forward and say. I'm sure there's grumblings in the locker room. Somebody got left out of the match that had more experience and was quote unquote more deserving. I'm sure that occurred. But if it did, it occurred behind closed doors.
I only bring it up because Meltzer says there was quote unquote secret heat afterwards, whatever the hell
there
that
you go,
means, on Shane McMahon because of not only how lame his firing on Raw was, but because he took everyone's finish the night before, including a tombstone, a move that's basically unofficially banned for regular use. It was helped out, but then didn't sell anything the next night.
Yeah.
And
good.
Angle came back from a stretcher job and didn't sell that on TV the next day. So Meltzer says it's not just a boss's son problem, but it does feel like that's something that the guys can't be too loud and proud about because of who he is. But it's certainly implied here in the Observer that some folks weren't happy.
Well, I think the implications made by Meltzer was probably pretty accurate. There were guys that didn't understand, why another guy wasn't in the match instead of Shane. The lack of selling was the quintessential, I got to look strong. And talents don't understand that by selling, you are looking strong, because if you're selling, you're in the ring you're trying to compete. You're trying to win the game. It's like Herm Edwards. The goal is to win the game. And that's how I would look at it. But to look strong, we must be strong like bull. It takes away from the presentation. And talents in today's world, one thing I could say to younger talents, don't let selling intimidate you. Use it as an asset, and use it as the guys that can really. Why do we always talk about when people sell, the great sellers? Two names always come up.
And the creative here wound up like it always does: Rock versus Austin, and Angle turns his back to being a babyface, kind of, at least for one day. We know where it's going. We'll keep the story going, but the alliance is finally put out of their misery, and so is Paul Heyman. The next night on Raw, Paul Heyman's fired. Jerry Lawler returns, and what do you know? Ric Flair makes his return to the WWF. I guess you had to make sense of it, and you had to have him return on Raw. It wouldn't have made sense at Survivor Series, but Flair in Greensboro, if the timing was right, would have been awesome. But we'll cover Lawler's return, Paul Heyman's firing, the reset of creative, Flair's actual return after a 9-year absence, Vince McMahon becoming a heel again, and so much more when we pick up the pieces next week for a November 26, 2001 episode. This is famous because, this is where you kiss Vince McMahon's ass, right in the middle of the ring, and wouldn't you know it?
Let's just record it now. It makes me feel good for this.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com. Oklahoma City. So of course we got to do something to Jim Ross. That was par for course for a long time there.
Oh yeah. I knew that was going to happen. What did they do to me that night? You remember? Other than kissing Vince's ass, was there any more insult to injury? I can't recall.
We'll find out next week, but my goodness.
I'll tell you this though, as many of the talents probably vouch for, because they kiss it all the time, he did have immaculate cleanliness. It's fine. My kids are going, Dad, why did you do that? Oh, I don't know, honey. It's just what it was.
That was Daddy's job, baby.
That's right. That's why those Christmas presents keep coming.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.